Defect detected.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Miata Channel. It's time for another episode of Miata News, and the big news for right now is that the 2024 Miatas are now hitting the dealers. I'm starting to see all kinds of ads for new 2024s for sale. The one thing that I thought was really funny following this is that Motor1.com decided to post an article about how Miata sales are down 50% from last year. And yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer because they just started selling them. And they're basing their information off sales in the first quarter of 2024, which they started selling them later than they usually do. So yeah, they're selling less of them, but that doesn't mean that the Miata is like a failure or something. And since this site has posted dumb things like this before, I don't really pay much attention to them, but I think this one's a little egregious in the fact that they absolutely did no research whatsoever before they made this claim. So let's look at some other articles about the Miata that have been in the news lately. And in a flashback to my Miata Alternatives video, I found this article where Edmunds is doing a shootout between the Miata, the BRZ, the Honda Civic Si, and the Hyundai Elantra Type N. And guess which one they picked as their winner for this shootout? The Elantra Type N. Now, I've driven an Elantra Type N, and there is no way in hell you would get me to choose that car over a Miata, or a BRZ for that matter, and I'm not a huge fan of the BRZ. And so this is another WTF moment as far as how they picked the winner of this one, so we're just going to just write this one off too, and I'm going to move on to the next one. This next one was brought to my attention by a family friend who told me about a Consumer Reports article that gave the Miata a really bad rating. And I guess out of the cars that they rated, they picked the Miata as like number 18. And one of the things they mentioned about the Miata was that owners didn't like getting in and out of the car. And I can see that. I mean, it's a small car. It sits pretty low. It's a little more difficult to get in and out of, but it's not that difficult. I mean, I don't have any problems with it. I'm a freaking geezer. But you don't really buy a Miata not knowing that. And one thing I thought was funny about this was that cars that ranked higher actually got a lower satisfaction rating than the Miata. And the Miata got a perfect 5 out of 5. And none of the owners said that they would not consider buying another Miata. Which for me is kind of another duh. Well, yeah, you know, you kind of know it's going to be tough to get in and out of it. But it's a super fun car, and some of the other cars that they're comparing it to are way more expensive. They might be easier to get in and out of, but some of them aren't as fun. In my next segment, I want to talk about a Miata that was sold on Bring a Trailer recently. This 2019 30th anniversary car sold for $37,000 on Bring a Trailer earlier this week. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is that I saw some really silly Facebook comments on a thread earlier where a guy posted a 30th for sale for like $35,000, and there were all these comments on the thread where people were talking about how the price was like $12,000 too high. And it was then that I realized that there's got to be some people out there that don't know what a 30th anniversary car is. And the thing that's interesting about the 30th anniversary car is that it's never depreciated since it was new. This car was $35,000 brand new. I ordered one of these cars and I passed on it the last minute, and I really regret it because, like I said, it hasn't depreciated since it was new. These cars started arriving in June of 2019, and this car cost $35,000 brand new. And since then, you have never seen one for sale for lower than that isn't damaged or something like that. A clean one with low mileage has been selling for more than that ever since. So for those of you who don't know anything about this car, what's so special about it? The 2019 30th anniversary car is a one-off car that has a trim level that's not available on any of the other Miatas. It basically combines all of the options of the Club and the Grand Touring. So you get all the suspension options, the limited slip, you get the Recaro seats, you get raise wheels instead of the BBS wheels. The 30th also has Alcantara on the dash and door cards instead of the normal leather and plastic. You get the interior with all the orange trim, and even the Recaro seats have the piping done in orange instead of red like the other cars. All the cars are numbered, and they only made a total of 3,000 of them worldwide. And since this car came out in July of 2019, the one thing that happened right after that was the pandemic happened, and then the pandemic prices hit. So these cars actually went up in value for a while, and they're now starting to come down, but they still haven't gotten below what they were selling for when they were new. And if you're one of those people who are able to get a 30th anniversary, I think this car is going to continue to hold its value for a while, at least for the near future, and we'll just have to see what happens to it. But I don't think this price is going to be dropping much anytime soon. I also want to talk about a few things that I'm working on right now, and I'm always hesitant to mention these things because I've said so many things that I ended up not posting in the future for one reason or another. One of the things that's happening right now is I got some more Project Ron content that we're going to be filming here in a couple of weeks. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully you guys will like that. The other thing that's also happening is the return of my NC. Those of you who've been following my channel for a while know that I bought my current NC about 2 years ago. It had a few problems that I had to fix, like the clear coat on the roof was failing. You can see on my roof and on the area behind the rear window, the clear coat was really trashed on that. And then later that year, somebody ripped my bumper off. And later still, I got in an altercation with a deer. And so I drove around with my car looking all funny in 3 colors for a while. And I recently had it fixed. I put it in the body shop back in December, and I'm just now getting it back. I still have a few things that are left to fix, but I'm going to do a full unveil of it here coming up, kind of to celebrate having it all fixed up after 2 years, and to talk about what's going to happen in the future, which might involve some of this. I just love the turbo sounds. So stay tuned for that. And last but not least, I'm working on finishing up a review I did on the 2022 Miata, which I'm just going to encapsulate into an ND2 in general. I started this one off by doing a review of a 2022 Miata that I got like a long time ago, and I couldn't finish the review because I got some things wrong and some of the footage got messed up. But then recently I rented a 2022 Miata through Turo, this one with a stick, the other one was an automatic. And between the two, I've done over 500 miles of driving in these cars. I've put them through all kinds of situations, and I think this is probably one of the most thorough reviews I've done of anything. So stay tuned for that. Might take me a little while to finish that because there's just a ton of editing I got to do for it. But anyway, that's all I have for today, and we'll see you next time.